last week was particularly pertinent in this regard, so maybe we can have a little recap of everything that happened last week. For me, it started off with Nicaragua taking Germany to the ICJ, but obviously there was a bunch of other stuff that happened, so maybe you want to fill us in for those who weren't following it as closely.
Yes, during the Palestine Congress, which Udi was participating in, I was able to be inside. I'm from the lucky people who were able to be inside, 150 people. The police say 250 allowed to be, but they let only 150 from the 1,000 who have the card. And I witnessed something, without exaggerating, I never see something like this from the moment I left Syria in 2008. And it's triggered me to the level that it stopped triggering me, because what I saw in Syria that is accepted in a totalitarian dictatorship. But what I saw during this Congress is happening in a democracy, and made me rethink about everything I did in my life and how I ended here running away from Syria because I was longing for freedom, and I find myself in a situation that I'm not able even to handle, because I'm used to fight the dictatorship and I have the methods to fight the dictatorship, but I don't know how to fight a democracy. So it was very, very tough. It was very, very sad moment, and it made me understand more and more this society and understand more and more how the things happen in the 30s. It's because all of us have this question about the 30s, and we have this romantic idea that we will fight back. I say this to myself when I was young: oh, if I was Jewish, I will fight back. It is not simple as that. This is a very romantic idea. How I will describe it? It's look like there is something, I don't know, we can give it a name, any name. There's something were carried by the Jewish people for more than 2,000 years. They were carried like this everywhere. It's look like an apple. They carry this apple for a long time. In 1948, they settled after this diaspora, and they give us the apple. And now we are carrying from 1948 until now. And I know that we carry it as a Palestinian for like all these years. But last week I really tasted for the first time. It was so obvious that Germany is in the wrong side of history again. It was so obvious. And I wish every one of you has the opportunity to see that and witness that in their eyes. So I don't know what to say. I wish us good luck.
Udi, there was a very striking image of you that went viral, of you being arrested by the German police for anti-Semitism, and that was often online juxtaposed by a picture of Björn Höcke, who is a part of the AfD party here and a very right-wing part of that party as well, doing a Nazi salute and making the comment that, one form of anti-Semitism is okay and the other is, not okay. Maybe you could fill us in on how that was for you and how you dealt with it.
Yeah, thank you, Nicky. Thank you, Ghayath. A very powerful introduction also, and a reminder of how severe the situation is. And I think that the image that you refer to, Nicky, is quite telling in this regard. I would maybe like to take this opportunity to shortly look into the question of what is anti-Semitism according to those who are nowadays in power and pointed us and claim us, accuse us for anti-Semitism. If you have your cell phone with you, and I know you do, please, if you don't mind, quickly Google IHRA definition, and the first entry that you will see is what is anti-Semitism. This is the website of the IHRA. Give me a short sign if you have it, at least one, two, that you know that. All right. Internet doesn't work, so you have to believe me.
There is guest Wi-Fi though, that helps.
Okay, so if you go to the Google IHRA definition, the first entry that you get is what is anti-Semitism. This is the website of the IHRA. IHRA stands for International
Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. Yeah.
Exactly, and this is an intergovernmental alliance. If you look at all the countries that are listed within this alliance, you see that to 99% of them, they are all westernized Christian countries. There is only one state which is not self-identifying as Christian, namely the state of Israel. In Germany, they call this phenomenon of a room full with Christians and one Jewish person diversity. If you look at how the definition is being defined according to this diverse coalition, it's written in 2016, the plenary in Bucharest decided to adopt the following non-legally binding working definition of anti-Semitism. And then the definition goes as follows. Anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property, toward Jewish community, institutions, and religious facilities. It's very clear what anti-Semitism is according to this definition, right? No, it's not. Because the first sentence is anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews. I have perception of Jews. Yeah. Okay. The thing is that this definition is kept so vague and so confusing that even those who framed it found it so confusing that they found it necessary to attach 11 examples to the question of what anti-Semitism actually could mean. Within these 11 examples, 7 are referring directly to the state of Israel, only 4 concern Jews as such. We can say that this definition of anti-Semitism is designed to define anti-Semitism always in reference to the state of Israel. And it's not surprising because if we look at the genealogy of who introduced this definition to the IHRA, it's a Zionist lobby organization, US-based lobby organization. So we see here a definition of anti-Semitism that is actually anti-Semitic because it does not concern Jews as such, but rather a political project, the state of Israel. So we're talking about an anti-Semitic definition of anti-Semitism. Shortly after this definition has been introduced, more than 300 scholars gathered together to introduce a scientific definition of anti-Semitism, namely the Jerusalem Declaration on Anti-Semitism. This definition has been ignored by all those who are in power nowadays and who pointed us and tell us we're anti-Semites according to the IHRA definition. Anti-Semitic, anti-scientific. The third point is that those examples, in contradiction to the definition itself, were not approved by the plenary of the IHRA. To my understanding, this is an anti-democratic decision-making. We're talking about a definition of anti-Semitism which is anti-Semitic, anti-scientific, and anti-democratic. I think it's quite telling that the German government feels committed to this specific definition of anti-Semitism.
Yeah, which reminds me, reminds me of a podcast that I was listening to recently with comedian Bassem Youssef, who's playing today actually, wish I could have seen him. And he said that we've got to the point in this discourse that anti-Semitism, or the accusation of anti-Semitism, is meaningless at this point. And in Germany, we have a whole bunch of anti-Semitism commissioners, the majority of which aren't Jewish, some of which have converted to Judaism, but only a few. And then we have people like you being accused, like aggressive Jewish thinkers being accused of anti-Semitism on a regular basis. So, yeah, I guess it's just how we try and navigate that, and also just of course it serves Israel, but by extension then Germany as well, you know, and it is purposely nebulous because that means that you can do everything and anything and undermine all of the democratic principles here, you know, for authoritarian reasons.
Exactly, yeah. This is exactly the thing. I think it's quite telling also the fact that this entire discourse around anti-Semitism, and specifically this form of anti-Semitism that is marked as imported or Muslim or Arab anti-Semitism, plays such a key role in nowadays attempts of German political elite to define what Germany is, the very nature of Germany, namely this idea of Staatsräson, Raison d'État. What is it, this thing that Germany looks at and which reassures its existence, right? And I think it's also quite telling to the extent that what we are seeing here is how Germany is engaging in a process of silencing Jews as such. Because you refer to the anti-Semitism commissioners. If we see, for example, just very briefly to see how representation of Jewish people takes place in today's Germany, in the state institutions. According to poll, there is, nowadays, among all the individuals who sit in the German parliament, do you ever guess how many of them, how many parliament members in Germany nowadays self-identifying as Jews? Don't tell them.
I guess.
You get, okay, this was a very wild guess, which was very correct. Zero. So there are no self-identifying Jews sitting nowadays in the German parliament who speak as Jews. So we are really outside of the political sphere of parliamentarian work, at least. In 2018, the German government introduced this new office that they call the Commissioner for Jewish Life in Germany and the Fight Against Anti-Semitism. You find this position on federal level, on state level, on municipal level, and also in the executive bodies of the state, for example, with the police and the German military. More often than not, those commissioners do not self-identify as Jews. Not only that, they do self-identify publicly as Christians, as Protestants, evangelists, Catholics, you name it, anything but Jewish. So we're talking about no representation of Jews within the democratic body of the German parliament. We're talking of no representation of Jews within those officers who claim to tell us what we need and what we feel and what we wish for. There is only one singular Jewish organization that is recognized by the state of Germany to speak in the name of Jews, and this organization is called the Central Council of Jews in Germany, Zentralrat der Juden in Deutschland. This organization, if you look at the website, believe me, I will not look now, but please believe me, in the self-definition of what this organization is, they say that the Zentralrat der Juden, the Central Council of Jews in Germany, speaks for all Jews in Germany. Let me remind you that this Zentralrat der Juden in Deutschland is an umbrella organization of all Jewish communities, while Jewish communities are recognized as such while they are organized around synagogues. So there is something quite ironic in this claim to represent all Jews while completely neglecting or excluding those Jews who do not live their Jewishness as a religious identity. I'm not saying that there is something wrong with living Jewishness as a religious identity. This must be celebrated as much as other forms of Jewishness must be celebrated or at least get a room. But the fact is that the Central Council of Jews in Germany, together with the commissioners for Jewish life in Germany, together with the German parliament, they are all committed to the anti-Semitic, anti-democratic, anti-scientific definition of anti-Semitism, according to which probably all of us are anti-Semites. You said good luck before. Yes, good luck to us.
I wanted to ask you if you know who Dania Ryan Spalding is. Because even though there's like pretty much zero representation in the Bundestag, one thing that is a very unique thing here in Germany is this like philo-Semitism, right? So this is something that, you know, exceptionalizes Jews and a specific type of Jewish identity that fits into this kind of uniquely German way of doing things. And it also unites the right and the left here over there, like unwavering support for Israel. And this comedian, who is not a Jew but often kind of like claims a little bit to be Jewish, like his language is sometimes a little bit nebulous, was invited recently by the Green Party into the Bundestag to speak on behalf of the Jews here. And that is obviously problematic on so many different levels. But one of the things as well, I think that is an extension of this IRA definition is the racism against, you know, the anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, anti-Palestinian racism that happens here. And another thing that happened last week was that the police here, every year they release like a report on like criminal statistics, and it came out that, of course, you know, surprise, surprise, it's all the immigrants here, who are the, you know, criminals. And that also kind of, I heard about there was a BFG driver who, over the tannoy, just, you know, some people blocking the door, and he was racist. And yeah, I don't know what your experiences here have been so far, Ghayath, within this framework of German anti-Arab and anti-Muslim and anti-Palestinian bigotry.
Yeah. So on the 12th of October, the House for Poesy cancelled the release of the anthology. It was already published. And it should be 34 Arabic poets who live in Europe. They did the Persian Europe and the Black Europe, and it's like continue. So if you think about it, the 5th of October they sent me an email that everything is settled, we invite the guests. 7th of October Hamas attacked Israel. 12th October, without apologize, without sorry, not even mention the word sorry. We don't have budget, we cancelled. So I always say, now we are today 129 public cancellation in Germany. There's around hundreds, maybe 200s, where other cancellation, where people decided to not be public, because if they take it public, the rest of Germany will see that, they will be accused of anti-Semitic, the rest of Germany will cancel them, they will not be able to pay their bills. So let's focus on the 129. So we have systematically in 6 months, 129 artists and writer and musician and academic who have been cancelled and silenced and censorship and deleted and erased here in Germany. We are not allowed to compare with the 30s by the law in Germany, as I understand from some of the lawyers. And here I'm specific, I'm not making compare, but I'm making timeline so we can learn from history. When do you think last time was in Europe this happened? I will not mention the date or the years. It was like between 1930 and 1940. It is really obvious. If you think about it more, in this list, as Lucas noticed, our friend, that 30% of this list are Jewish or Israeli Jew. From 129, we have 30% or 35% Jewish. In a country, we have 85 million Christian and 300,000 Jewish with the foreigners, artists. So it's like, for each German cancelled, we have 10,000 Jewish, according to the mathematics. Thank God that I'm Arab and we discovered the zero and algebra, and like this I can count it. So it is not funny, because we say in Arabic, شر البلية ما يضحك, the most tough thing could make you laugh. So if you think about this systematic cancellation, you will think that this is something will lead us to lose our democracy. Yes, yeah? I don't think they see it in this way. I think these people, for the first time, try something new, but it's not new in the world. It's happened, for example, in the United States of America. You could be in a democracy, and when the Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, You arrest 180,000 American Japanese. 150,000 of them were American, born in America, and put them in the concentration camp. And the democracy will continue. You could do it again during McCarthy time. You arrest everyone, accuse anyone of communism, and put them in the prison. Nothing will happen to the democracy. And they did it again after the 11th of September, where they arrested thousands of Muslims and put them in Guantanamo. So I think Germany playing very tough and dangerous game. Now we are in a parallel. We have really parallel life. The German enjoying democracy, the German police treating them very well and softly. They can speak and do and act and vote like in any place in the world. We are excluded against the law. So, for example, the courts say that you are allowed to say from the river to the sea, but if you say it, you got arrested, punished, pay money, and got criminalized according to the law. So it's against the law. So I think what Germany did, it's making double standard, which it's happened in time between 1930 and 1940. I think, I will say now, I hope you will be accepted, because what I will say will be like maybe a little tough, but I will say it as a joke. So the people here, you know, the anti-Semitic in Europe, it's very deep. Let's say it's began a long time ago, 800 years ago began to take shape, and then Fernando and Isabella in Spain, they give it the real shape, and it's ended with the final solution. The anti-Semitic is something very European, and the victims were the European Jew. Yes, some of the Sephardic killed several times in the north, but also killed by the European. Fernando and Isabella killed the Sephardic, they were killed in the Balkan. Falasha and Sephardic Mizrahi Jewish, the Arab Jewish, they were not killed or massacred in this way. So we could say that the victims were the European Jewish, killed by the European people. During this time, I can say as a joke, and I will say it again, so if somebody have a camera to be recorded. So these people who live in this country, could call them German or Germanic, they were bad from the beginning of history until 1945 towards the Jewish. From 1945 until now, they are bad to the Palestinian. These people didn't say, okay, we were bad, let's learn from history and stop being bad. No, they switched the category. I think after 80 years, Germany will say sorry to us, and they will find another weak group, and they will smash them under the military shoes of this Nazi mentality. Do you know what is the motor behind the Nazis? It is the white supremacy. What is the diesel inside this motor? It is the German racism. Simple as that. These people, they call the anti-Semitic, as Udi say, imported anti-Semitic. These people who killed 6 million Jewish 8 years ago, they call it imported. They refused to share the numbers we got from the police, which it say that 86 of the anti-Semitic attack on synagogues and Jewish people happened by white German Christian men, officially. And in one of the years, there were 90% of the attack happened by white German Christian men. When you think about it, you think that 14% is Muslims? No, white Christian European men from Hungary and Poland and like this. How much is the Muslim? Maybe 2%. How much the Arabs of them? 1%. How much is the Palestinian? No, there is no. These people lie to us. They hide the numbers. They pretend that they are defending the Jewish, while the real anti-Semitic, they are enjoying their time. I remember in 2022, and this is before the 7th of October, I went to Hermannplatz on the Nakba Day, on June, 15th, 16th of June. So I went we decided to make a silent demonstration, and they arrested us. They canceled it because they say it's emotion, and the emotion could lead to anti-Semitic. But they let more than 140 neo-Nazi demonstrations go to permission. And that they're real anti-Semitic, but they let them because they are liars. These people are biased, and they will never be able to judge their history and say, we were wrong, and we will switch.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very important point. I mean, a lot of these things, I mean, we saw it with the Palestine Congress, that things are preemptively banned that on the basis that something might happen. And with the Nakba demonstrations, this is, you know, as you just spoke about, it's been happening for years now. And yeah, I mean, ultimately it has nothing. I mean, it's just another form of anti-Semitism because, you know, if you're being kind of pedantic about it, Arabs are Semites as well. So it's just, yeah, just addressed at a different community, isn't it? And it's interesting that you see so many, you know, for the most part, white Germans who otherwise aren't going to pro-Palestine demos, wanting to sort of absolve themselves from their government, you know, policies by going to these anti-AfD demos, but at the same time not kind of being willing to draw the dots between how actually doesn't, I mean, everyone sees the AfD as this sort of, you know, bad monster that's coming to get us, but it's kind of already here because the policies and what people are saying, as far as I'm concerned, is just as bad as what the AfD want to do. I don't know how you see that. Especially kind of, I guess, the sort of the hypocrisy. I found myself feeling really, getting really angry about it.
Yeah, but like if we think as an intellectual, who is everything connected to class and gender and background and religion, history, and by the way, fuck history, really, like fuck history, fuck occupation. What I want to say, if we think about the people who were not allowed to criticize, like, you know, think about it. It will direct you direct to the real answer. The slave, under the slavery rules, they are not allowed to criticize anything. Women under the patriarchy. Immigrant under this situation we live, Jewish under the Nazis, Palestinian now, we're not allowed to criticize. Like if for example, if you immigrant say anything, they say, go back to your homeland. If this immigrant is Palestinian, then he have double. And you know, it's like you end in a moment you find yourself like in a Pandora box. So if you think about this, you will find that the right to criticize is the most important thing we gain in democracy. And we are excluded. Like, we can't even speak about our beloved who got killed in Gaza. I remember 3 months ago, I say in front of people that I lost 122 cousins got killed by Israel in the last 3 months.
I'm sorry.
Yes, and they were looking to each other, and I see in their eyes that this message that they say, I'm lying, because no one could lose 122 cousins. And then I went home and I shared their names. Not only because we are not numbers, I share the names of 122 cousins I lost. 90 of them are children. And like, if you think only about that, and you are not able to say that, because this is considered in Germany as anti-Semitic, And to say that I lost 122 cousins 3 months ago, you are enemy for the state. Like, did you see how the police attacked us? Did you see how systematic they do it? They come every day after the 7th of October, beating the people in Neukölln, breaking their bones, and all the newspaper, violence in Neukölln. They come after, the day after, they beat us, they broke our bone. Violence in Neukölln, every day. They didn't mention who make the violence. Ladies and gentlemen, you are making the violence. You are coming to Neukölln, beating the people who have, by institution, the right to have a demonstration. You beating them, and all your media speaking about violence in Neukölln. This is very systematic dehumanization of everyone. Like, to not be able to speak about this as an intellectual. My friend, I discussed with my friend Anna Maria Olsen, that if we are an activist, and I say for her, no, I'm not activist, you are not activist, we are intellectual. We are exactly like Gramsci say, we are the organic intellectual, we are not isolated from reality. I can speak about literature, and in very smooth tone, and I could go deep inside the literature. But now, there is a genocide happening now. How you could be isolated from reality? I always remember the Pablo Neruda when he say, and this I will try to translate it in my mind. When you open the window in the morning, and when you see wonderful or beautiful flower, and there is dead body, dead crop in it, you will not be able to write about the beautiful flower, or you will be really like insane or isolated from reality.
But I think that's one of the most disturbing things here, and the first thing that comes to mind, and I know a lot of people will have seen this film, as of course Zone of Interest, right? The ability to just zone out, right, and have your normal life while the rest of the world is on fire, and not to be touched by that on any level, least not emotionally on any way, shape or form, even if you don't have to sacrifice something on a more material level, just the fact that you can go about your day-to-day life and not be so deeply emotionally impacted by other people's suffering and loss. I think there's also kind of something deeply troubling and about the fact that Germany was able to industrialize anti-Semitism and then also gets to be the final arbitrator of what anti-Semitism means, right? But the perpetrator, you know, they commit their crimes and then they also are the ones who decide what their punishment is or not, you know, and everyone else is like, in this instance, the Palestinians are the collateral damage, you know.
I will give the microphone after this to Udi because she will say something. I would like to answer this question, me and her together. I think simply as that we pay, as a Palestinian, we pay our land as a solution for a long history of racism and anti-Semitic and killing of the Jews in Europe. We were the weak part. England occupied us and did that solution. Now, we are standing here outside the German guild, where we is real direct of that what German did. Because after 1917 Balfour Declaration, most of the Jewish, they run away to the United States of America. And there is no way you could build Israel without the final solution. And now Germany say that Israel, it's the reason. But if Israel is the reason, we are the result of that. Then we are part of this. The world have 15 million Palestinian refugees because of Germany. Officially like that. And if you want to think about it in a philosophical way, as the Germans do, there is no way that Palestine is not the Staatsräson of Palestine for Germany, because we are destined from your solution, and it's all about them. So the Germans always think only about their image in this question. But what happened to the others? They excluded themselves from it.
What comes to my mind when I hear you talking about the central role of Germanness within, like, always the focus is on Germany, and perhaps even in the broader context we can talk about Eurocentric approach towards reality in general. And we see it also within how the Zionist state is designed, also understands itself, likes to think of itself as a phenomenon that is detached from the Middle East, something European rather than indigenous. And because you mentioned also, Ghayath, before the fact that most of the Jewish population who live nowadays in Palestine, they migrated to Palestine from places like Iraq, Iran, Turkey, Morocco,
Yemen.
Tunisia, Libya, Yemen, Egypt, you name it, the Arab Muslim world. So to think about Israel, like to be Israeli, to think about Israel as a European project, I think it's quite telling about to what extent this project has, this Eurocentric Orientalist project has been internalized by those who also maintain this idea alive. And to my understanding, if 6 months into an ongoing genocide, whenever we speak about ceasefire, whenever we speak about democracy that should be applied for everyone who lives between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, whenever we speak about human rights that should be applied also for Palestinians, whenever we say that international law should be applied also for Palestinians, those who are in power point at us and call us anti-Semites, extremists, Israel haters. To my understanding, this is quite telling about the fact that those who are in power are nothing less but genocide lovers.
Yeah, for me, one of the most striking and deeply depressing embodiments of that was the Berlinale, when No Other Land won Best Documentary. And all of the internationals who were coming were, a lot of them were calling for a ceasefire. Some of them went further and used words like genocide and apartheid, which again within this totally nebulous understanding of the IRA definition. Of course, that's also anti-Semitic. And the idea that you've got a Palestinian and Israeli on stage who make a beautiful, very powerful documentary, and they're calling for what I thought we all want is peace and for equal rights under international law. And that gave birth to the biggest shitstorm here, to the point where Claudia Wart, who is the Minister for Culture, and also Joe Cilallo, who is the Senate for Culture, were and are seriously considering whether or not we should, or whether the state should be interfering in the jury process, because that doesn't also, if you've got people calling for that and those types of films are being awarded, then something must be wrong and we need to control it.
Yes, clapartheid, I heard.
Clapartheid, yes, exactly, that was the one, yeah.
My friend is sitting here and she's only clapping for me, not for me.
I noticed it! I knew it! All the time.
I don't know what to say, but I want to say something could show you how things we dealt with before the 7th of October. I began to visit Germany often from after 2011, and I really liked Berlin. I applied to the DRD consular program in 2018 because I want to move here, and I got it in 2019 and I came here. One of my Syrian friends, she ended as a refugee in 2015 here, and she began to learn the language. In 2019 I came. During the COVID we were walking, and she told me, "Yes, I have a question. Why you, in all the interview in Germany," she was like trying to study German, so she read my article on the translation. She told me, "Why in every interview in the radio, in the newspaper, in the literary magazine, you always speak about Syria and you never mention Palestine?" And I say, "What? What do you mean?" She say, "Like, what you hear?" I say, "No." She say, "Yes." I thought, "No, I always say the story of my family in Ashkelon and like this. And then I speak about my life in Syria and the Syrian revolution." She told me, "No." And guess what? I think you guess. For 12 years, Germany, systematically, different organizations, not connected to each other, some of them for art, some of them for literature, some of them elite, some of them for working class, some of them left, some of them not. All of them, in 12 years, they deleted every single word I say about Palestine, and they publish every single word I say about Syria. I was shocked. Germany did that in 12 years for me. And I discovered this in 2020. This is the only thing I can say for you. After that, I met one of two of them, and I mentioned it. One of them was coward that he told me that he tried to save me. And I told him, "No, you was trying to save yourself." Because in this country you are not allowed to speak exactly like in Syria. And the other one, he say for me, "What? Like, you know, the space we need to choose." Yes, always is. So this is the situation before the 7th of October. After the 7th of October, I think many of the people didn't know how systematic the things. I want to tell you example from Lana Pasta-Shech, because she's here, great writer. She's not even in the list when you check it, because she was cancelled outside Germany. But I think she should be in the list because she was cancelled because of Germany. Because of her own decision, her private decision to leave the publisher house Fisher, they cancelled her invitation for residency and reading in Austria. So this is show you how these things connected, how they work. So you decided, it's your decision. You don't want this publisher house, of course, because of their political stand. But then Austria cancel you. So this is not something like, it's not something like new on this society. No, they did it, they train on the Jewish and they became professionals. They don't repeat mistakes. And I think now, in 2 or 3 months, there will be the Palestinians who have been cancelled 0, because we are not included. And this is the most important point I want to say now. Yes, we are cancelled 1 or 2 or maybe several, one like Udi. But from the 7th of October until now, we are not included in anything. Not in a reading, not in participate in festivals, not in music, not in a book release. We are not able to pay even our bills. And this is the most dangerous one, because the things that you are cancelled without knowing you are cancelled. And they are so professional of doing that.
I've got a question for you, Udi. The Palestinian journalist, Heber Jamal, recently wrote a little piece saying how much he hates going to protests, but I'll see you at the next one. And I wondered, seeing as you're quite on the front line and getting more sort of media attention and stuff, how do you protect yourself emotionally? Obviously we see all those videos as well of so much physical violence that's happening, but there's also a lot of it takes a psychological toll, right? So how do you deal with that? How do you keep on going, and how do you look after your mental health?
Yeah. Thank you, Nicky, for the very empathic question. First and foremost, what keeps me motivated to keep on what we are all actually doing, why we are going on the street, why we are remaining alert, why we are visible. We're doing this for the people who are now subjected to an ongoing genocide in Gaza. We're doing this for people who are subjected to ethnic cleansing in the West Bank. We are doing this for people who live under an apartheid white Jewish supremacist regime in the so-called State of Israel. So this is first and foremost the reason why I feel that what I'm doing is the most healthy thing a human being can do at the moment. Besides this, I'm aware that my actions and Ghayath and so many others among us, they resonate with so many people. If you look on social media, but also on the streets, it's clear that the more that we are oppressed by the state, the stronger and bigger we grow as a community. And this is what gives me the hope also to continue. This is the very reason why it's a never-ending process. Liberation is the least that each and every one of us deserve.
Thank you. I think we're going to have to slowly wrap up now. But yeah, I just wanted to echo what you said, because I think that is our real grounds for hope and optimism when you think of how, especially like young people going out week after week for 6 months in the freezing cold and the pouring rain, the tenacity and the empathy as well, the community solidarity. If I can end with you, what are you hopeful about? What gives you kind of strength and courage at the moment?
Yeah, when I meet these wonderful people in the demonstrations and an event like this, I say, I will stay here and I will fight. And yes, in the beginning, I felt that what I was saying to myself when I was young, that if I was Jewish, I will fight. And then the first things I began to think to run away. But now, after I met great people like all of you, like Udi, like you, like all the people who really say the truth to the power and stand for justice for everyone, I feel like, okay, I don't have the methods to fight a democracy, but I think the new generation who understand the world better than us and who inherited the world, we are the old patriarch. This generation Z is like terror for the Western world. Now officially they began to ask TikTok they began to say it, delete the videos from Gaza or you will be cancelled from the United States. So these 3 billion young people will inherit this world. Maybe they will rebuild it in a way there is no patriarchy, no occupation, no sexism, no racism. I don't have a lot of hope. I'm really the least optimistic person in the world. But maybe these people will rebuild the world, and like an event like this could make me survive for at least 10 days.
Thank you everyone for listening. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone want to say something? Yeah.
Do I yell or what do I do? I think I can project.
No, but
No.
for the record, to be in the record, yeah.
Hi. First of all, thank all of you for everything. You're gonna make me cry tonight, but that's later. I guess I just want to say like one thing to Udi, to what you said about, you know, Israel and like Eurocentrism and everything. And I think I just have to, I guess, disagree with you. Israel is a European project because it is a colonial project, and colonialism is a European mindset of extraction of resources. And the fact that most of the people of Israel don't have European ancestry doesn't actually change that. And of course, you know, Europe's going to Eurocentrism. That's just sort of what they do. So they're going to ignore the fact that most of the Israeli Jews, except when it helps them, they're going to be like, ha, Israel can't be racist because whatever, how many percent of the Jews have an Arab background, so they're indigenous. Like, no, someone from Morocco is not indigenous to fucking Palestine. But Israel is a European project. It was an idea born in Europe and perpetuated by European powers and still backed by European and Western powers. You know, Israel wouldn't exist without Europe in any way, shape, or form, neither historically nor now. Like, they wouldn't if we wouldn't be sending them a shit ton of weapons and everything. And I think if you look at these things, you always have to keep just the colonial aspect of it. So I just wanted to say that and second that. Love you all very much.
Hello, thank you. I just wanted to give a little announcement. I have two survivors of the Palestine Congress of Arts of the Working Class magazine. In this issue, there is an amazing poem by Ghayath. There's also a text by Nicky, and I harassed all of them, plus Udi, to sign them. So these are historic fetish copies. Please. The initial and very extravagant plan was to auction them, but I don't want to take a lot of time, so please, if you are interested in these collector pieces, please come to me and give the money to the organization. Every donation counts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. How many people? One.
I just very quickly say to Yara, thank you so much for the comment, so important. Thank you.
Hi, first of all, thank you so much for doing all of this, crucial, especially nowadays. I mean, there would be like so many things to do, and we could, I guess, keep talking like potentially forever. But like mine is a question for like an advice and like some help as well, in the sense that if there's something positive of all like this shit show, is that although like despite everything that's happening in Germany or in Europe or in general, we still live in like democracies somehow. And this should also like allow us to protect each other and ourselves, especially if and when we decide to be like in the front line, with all with everything that comes with it. So like all the kinds of like direct or like indirect repercussions. But here my question like in a more direct way, like when we see videos from like police violence. Especially like in Germany, that's opposite to Italy. For instance, they have like their like serial numbers. Is there anything that we can do like from the legal point of view to like sue them when like a newspaper like smears like an activist or like whoever with weaponized accusations of like any like anti-Semitism, racism, or anything. Is there like something that we can do on like a legal level? Because I think that like courts have often like proven like to be more like progressive than politics and society sometimes. So like, is there like, I don't know, any network, any like legal consultant or like association that can like help us protecting ourselves and each other in the other?
Thank you for the question. I think it's really important to think about it pragmatically of how we can protect ourselves at the moment. Different organizations that offer legal support, for example, the ELSC, you can Google it, and they offer a very helpful immediate support in any case when you are being confronted with the police, or in general if you have legal questions. If you have been cancelled, for example, you are also very welcome to approach the ELSC to ask for legal advice. I think, we started with pointing out to the fact that we live in a democracy. I understand what you're saying. If I would put it in my own words, I would say we live in a state of law. And this is exactly the reason why the German government acting against the law at the moment, because the law does not, actually the law is on our side. You know? So we are now in the beginning of bringing different cases to the court. Usually it takes a long time. We heard before, for example, that there was one case of murder of a refugee in Germany, and only this week or today even the court decided whatever it decided, you know. But just like keep in mind, like 6 years it takes to solve the question whether one was murdered for racial reasons or not. We know the answers, right? We know reality. We are on the streets. We are on the camp in front of the Bundestag. We witness the dimensions and the resolution of the oppressions that we are all experiencing at the moment. And we are going to get back exactly what we deserve, our democratic rights, our civic rights. Yeah, everything we know that we deserve as human beings.
I just wanted to... Another organisation is COP.
Yeah.
They do great work as well. And yeah, I mean, as far as the police are concerned, at least 400 of them are anyway being investigated for right-wing extremism, and the numbers will be much, much higher than that in reality, because a lot of the Bundesländer like Berlin and a lot of the ones in the east, which have the most, problem, that they fight the most with far-right extremism. They didn't actually deliver any numbers and stuff. So I definitely think power to the people. There are organised organisations out there, but ACAB.
Yeah.
Hi, I just got the microphone. Can I speak? First I want to thank you all for sharing. But I also have a critical comment, while following some of your experiences and stories. It was often called for them or they or the powerful, and I had the impression that sometimes I could interchangeably put whatever they mean, or I have a picture, and put it in your story. And it's sometimes helpful maybe to differentiate clearer to what are the German people maybe do, what is maybe a sentiment we get from the people from the government or the police or the people in power. Who are they, right? Sometimes it's helpful to be clearer in that, and I think that would make your stories more powerful.
Thank you. Can I say something? So if I translate this from Arabic, So there's the majority, there is the minority, and there is the exceptions. In everything, you don't count the exceptions. You count the majority and the minority. Everywhere in the world, in my country, Sweden, which I have the passport, in the United States, I travel, the people are stand with Palestine, the majority. Minority with Israel. The government stand with Israel. This is the Western world. Everywhere in the world, except Germany, where people and government stand with Israel. The minority stand with Israel. The majority stand with Israel. We have exceptions. And the exception, they are really, really small group. In the 30s, they were 0.3 of the German population. It was more than 80 million who stand against the Nazi, and that was 250,000. We didn't even reach this number. So we are much less than that time. What I want to say, because of what they say is the guilt and the shame. Every time I go deep in a discussion with them, and I will say this in a literary way now as an intellectual writer, every time we have a dinner and we drink wine and we eat and we go deep inside these feelings of shame and guilt, I arrive to something totally different, more similar to responsibility. And all these things they say about shame and guilt, they fall down. I want to give you a small example. Germany killed 28 million Russians, 10 million of them soldiers, but 18 million of them women and children. 18 million, 3 times of the Holocaust. They don't have any guilt or shame. They stand with Israel against Palestine because of the... I didn't see them stand with Russia against Ukraine because of the guilt and the shame. They paid billions of dollars to Israel. They didn't pay for Russia. They enter Poland. They kill 6 million people, 200,000 of them soldiers, and 2.5 million of them Jewish. We take them away. There is 3.5 million civilians, most of them women and children. They don't have any guilt or shame. They didn't pay money. They didn't even respect Polish people. Even in the Holocaust, in the gas chamber, they killed 500,000 Roma. They don't respect them. They didn't feel any guilt or shame of them. They don't. This, when they say we are shame and guilt, it's a big lie. They are biased. They are standing with Israel. And they are dreaming of something similar, in my mind, to nightmare.